When the war in Ukraine began, a lot of Europe's energy supply was completely cut off from Russian imports. As we all know, this sent oil prices surging, creating a cost of living crisis in many nations. As such, it was imperative for governments to look for alternative energy sources to meet demand and keep inflation stable. Thus, a renewed interest in nuclear energy emerged, with former Prime Minister Boris Johnson pledging that at least 25% of all power consumed in the UK by 2050 would be derived from nuclear power. In March 2021, Boris Johnson unveiled a plan to build 24 gigawatts of nuclear power capacity over the next 3 decades, up from the 5.88 gigawatts currently available. In October 2021, Rishi Sunak invested £679 million into Sizewell C, a nuclear power station in Suffolk, and has stuck to his predecessor's commitment to nuclear power, promising to create Great British Nuclear, a new body designed to oversee the development of nuclear energy in Britain. However, governments for decades have promised to build large nuclear reactors, only to fail due to persistent budget deficits and a lack of commitment. Why is now the time for nuclear energy? In 2022, 15.5% of the UK's energy was generated through nuclear power. Increasing the production of nuclear energy will see the UK move closer to its net zero emissions target by 2050. Low carbon energy sources will reduce the UK's reliance on fossil fuels, which reduces air pollution and improves people's health. In 2022, 38.5% of energy consumed in the UK was generated through natural gas. Burning fossil fuels release harmful pollutants into the atmosphere, potentially damaging people's health, and contributes to global warming. Domestic nuclear power generation will also help the UK improve its energy security by reducing our reliance on energy imports and the risk of a supply-side shock. This will help the UK keep inflation and consumption stable. Furthermore, nuclear power stations generate large quantities of energy on a reliable basis, while also taking a smaller amount of land relative to solar and wind farms. For example, in France, 70% of its electricity is derived from nuclear power created in its 56 operational nuclear power reactors. It is the world's largest net exporter of electricity, gaining over $3 billion a year from it. Also, the nuclear industry in France employs over 220,000 people. This has meant France had been much better safeguarded against mounting energy prices through the elimination of Russian energy imports, experiencing an average inflation rate of 5.2% in 2022, whereas the UK experienced a 9.1% average inflation rate in 2022. The construction of new nuclear power plants will see an increase in investment and job opportunities and create a positive multiplier effect. For example, Sizewell C in Suffolk, once built, will provide electricity to over 6 million homes. According to EDF, the firm behind its construction, Sizewell C will support over 70,000 jobs throughout the UK and contribute over £4 billion to the regional economy. Hinkley Point C, another nuclear power plant in Somerset, is set to power around 6 million homes once completed, as well as help the UK avoid 9 million tonnes of carbon each year. In addition, it has created 22,000 jobs across the UK. EDF has also invested £24 million into education and training for local workers, improving the UK's human capital. The UK government estimates that the new nuclear power plant would supply 7% of the UK's electricity and in the long term would be more cost-effective than wind and gas energy. What are some potential downsides of nuclear energy? Nuclear power has been a divisive topic throughout the world. The construction of nuclear power plants involves massive upfront costs and will need to be financed either through taxpayers or debt-taking. Sizewell C has been estimated by EDF to cost £20 billion in 2020, and that was before the huge spikes in inflation and interest rates. Thus, costs are likely to increase further. Hinkley Point C has been plagued by long delays and soaring costs. Despite construction starting in 2016, It is estimated Hinkley Point C will not start producing electricity until mid-2027. This may worsen the government's budget deficit, which could lead to a threat of future austerity measures which would lower living standards and economic growth. There were also security concerns relating to China's CGN, which has part-funded the construction of Sizewell C and Hinkley Point C. This may cause geopolitical issues down the line. More money being allocated to nuclear energy projects may lead to a slowdown of investment into the renewable energy sector. This means the UK could risk missing its net zero emissions target by 2050. Moreover, the opportunity cost for investing into nuclear energy is much higher than alternatives such as renewable energy, which is cleaner and runs no risk of disasters such as Chernobyl or Fukushima. Many experts have instead called for much cheaper energy-saving alternatives such as improving energy efficiency and home insulation, which would substantially lower household electricity bills and free up more of their income for consumption. They argue the government could save a lot of money through these changes, thus raising the opportunity costs of building new nuclear power plants. There are also environmental concerns regarding nuclear energy. Production of nuclear energy creates highly radioactive waste which will need to be sorted in secure facilities to prevent any leakages. This is likely to be very expensive as nuclear waste takes a long time to break down. Construction of nuclear power plants may create heavy congestion and pollution in the short term, as well as adversely affecting local wildlife. The Royal Society for the Protection of Birds has warned Sizewell C plant would lead to the destruction of Minsmere, a nature reserve home to over 600 species of plants and animals, damaging the area's biodiversity. So in summary, why should the UK keep investing in nuclear energy? In the longer term, the UK will need a variety of low-carbon energy sources in order to meet electricity demand and its target of net zero emissions by 2050, which aids the fight against climate change. Having its own domestic energy production improves energy security and lowers the risk of future supply-side shocks. This would help the Bank of England keep inflation low and stable, maintaining confidence in the wider UK economy. Using cleaner energy sources reduces carbon emissions, therefore improving people's health and lengthening their life expectancy, as well as improving UK productivity. A single nuclear power plant can create large quantities of energy which could provide cheap electricity to millions of homes and businesses. This will lower household bills and business costs, leading to potentially more consumption and investment in the UK. Construction of nuclear power plants may lead to a positive multiplier effect, as there are increasing job opportunities causing average incomes to rise. More disposable income means households can increase their consumption and improve their material living standards. More consumption means firms make more revenue and are thus encouraged to expand and invest. This creates higher derived demand for labor and leads to more indirect jobs being available, lowering unemployment in the local area. Less expenditure on unemployment benefits and higher tax receipts means the government has more money to invest in public services and infrastructure. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please feel free to leave a thumbs up and a comment. Don't forget to subscribe for more riveting content. As always, we appreciate your support and we'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay curious.